Right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Golden Sky once again. It is a late night show here. By the time this is up, it'll probably be the morning if you're in the UK. But welcome. It is Thursday, July 24th at the time of recording. My dog is behind me once again. If you see him, I'm Tom, and thank you for joining me today. If you have joined me here on YouTube, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, you know, all that good stuff. I do want to say thanks to everybody for the last video. Performed really well. So really appreciate that. And if you do watch and you are enjoying, why not subscribe and join us for the rest of the season? That'd be great. Yeah, if you're listening on the podcast, we love you too. Thank you for joining us there. So I wanted to jump on tonight, guys, because today has been crazy. And if I tell you that my mind has not just been stuck on this news that we're going to talk about, that's why you click the video, because of Alexander Isak, then I'd be lying to you. It's all I've thought about all day, and I feel like if I don't talk about it, then I might explode. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about Isak. We're going to get right into it. We're going to give you the situation if, again, you're not a total sicko like me and you don't just refresh the transfer news all day long and you live a normal, healthy, happy life, or you don't memorize every journalist and whether they've lied in the past or all of this. Guys, you don't want to be like me, I swear. Just watch the videos instead and let me do the psycho work, okay? Not only that, but we'll also get into a little bit about PSR, which is lots of fun. If you like numbers, this time monetary numbers, and you want to know how Liverpool can actually afford Alexander Isak, please watch that topic as well. We're going to get into that. Did a little bit of research tonight and found it quite interesting. You might not, but you might as well. But at the very least, stay for this first update. So you'll have all seen, I'm absolutely certain, that Alexander Isak today has requested a transfer from Newcastle. We jumped on live around lunchtime. If you missed that, we went live for the first time. The video is in the live section of the channel if you want to watch the live reaction to this breaking news. Might do that more in the future if you do think it's something you'd enjoy. But now we've had the chance to let the dust settle, calm down a bit, relax, and digest the news, read all the updates, and figure out what the hell the situation is. Here is where we are. So, we've known for a while that Liverpool want Isak. It's been no secret. And about 10 days ago now, we made that approach to Newcastle and told them we're interested. And of course, they pretty much said he's not for sale, which is what we knew their stance was anyway. Liverpool swoop in then and buy Hugo Ekitike, who, by the way, was announced yesterday. If you're trying to keep up with this, Liverpool are moving crazy this summer. He was announced yesterday, so news is travelling fast. Things are moving quickly here at Liverpool this summer. We signed him for big money. He's a striker, a good young striker, sort of an Isak light. And to be honest, I kind of thought that was the end of the saga. How wrong could I have been? There's been reports that Isak had been training alone in the week. He didn't play in the preseason friendly. We heard that was because of an injury. But the big news this morning was that when Newcastle went on their tour, Isak didn't travel. This was initially told to us it was because of an injury, despite the fact Lewis Hall went on the tour and he is injured. Isak didn't. This is what the journalists fed us, especially the Newcastle ones at first. Of course, absolute pure baloney, my friend. They're talking bollocks. And I don't blame them, in a sense. You don't want to scaremonger the fan base if nothing materialises. However, it did materialise, and it didn't take long for the real news to come out that Alexander Isak himself has requested not to go on tour because he wants to transfer. That's as simple as it got. So this was broke by Craig Hope, who's a journalist with good Newcastle connections. I don't know if he's a Newcastle specific guy, but definitely a northeast kind of writer. He broke this news. And then obviously Fab jumps on it, and everybody else, David Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, lots of other people talking about it. So, by all accounts, Liverpool seem to be the only team interested, or at least the 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 team. I don't want to say most likely because I feel like it's more than that. The only team with a realistic shot at this transfer, because we've put in the legwork to get him, and I think we've disgruntled him to this point where he wants to come to us. I don't think he's put this request in to transfer to just any random team. I think it's specific that he has the idea in his head, I want to join the Premier League champions, and why wouldn't you? We're fucking boss. So, and we're spending money all over the place. We've just bought Florian Wirtz, who can pass him the ball a million times a match. Oh, and by the way, we've got Mo Salah on the wing. So things are looking good if you join Liverpool right now. And I think that's what he's thinking in his head. I think he's come to his senses. And it's interesting the timing of this as well. Arsenal securing Gyökeres, that's basically done now. Ekitike signed, so Newcastle can't go for him as a replacement. I wonder if there's something in that, the timing there. I wonder if Liverpool have said, just listen, Alexander, take it easy, mate. We'll come for you again. All right, just take it easy, relax. Let us get Hugo Boss in, then request your transfer. Let Arsenal dilly-dally over there with the shitty media and the murals for the set-piece coach and the friendlies and all that jazz. Arsenal, we know about Arsenal, guys. I mean, what is there to say about that team at the minute? You don't want to go there. You want to come to a real club, right? You saw how Ekitike was announced. They basically took a mugshot of him and sent him on his way to Hong Kong. That could be you. You know, we're selling him a dream. And I think that's what he wants. And I've got some quotes here. The most recent updates. Apologies if something comes out during this stream, a blockbuster. I will do a little refresh maybe intermittently and see. But here's the most recent quotes from some of the journos that you might have heard of. So Fabrizio Romano, we all know him. Everyone has different thoughts on him, but here's what he said. So this is exactly what he said, right? Liverpool are on it for Isak, ready and want to go big. Isak is pushing to leave. LFC spoke several times with people close to the player. Liverpool believe if Newcastle open the doors, they can really try to sign Isak. Luis Diaz's situation is important to clarify as soon as possible. To recoup some funds as well, Newcastle are going big for Benjamin Sesko, preparing to send an offer to the player. So this is all relevant. Obviously, Fab, his best work is he has agent connections. So he might be getting fed this directly from the agent. I'm not sure, but that's where he does a lot of his real connection work. And it's interesting that he revealed that we've spoke to people close to Isak, because I think that's clear. I think we've got definitely contact with him going, which is why we've got to this position that we're in. Okay, so that's Romano's update. We'll talk about it in a bit more detail in a second. Ben Jacobs said Isak is open to a move to Liverpool and would welcome a bid. However, suggestions he has already agreed terms are wide of the mark. Liverpool made contact on the player side and have been clear to Newcastle before Ekitike that they are prepared to pay a record fee. Diaz's potential sale and Nunez's potential sale could generate significant funds. Back, new approach from Liverpool is expected. Isak wants 300 grand per week, which is a challenge and too high for Newcastle's new contract. Isak has also not shown a willingness to engage yet with Newcastle. It's believed he would have signed a new deal last year, but he didn't get one. And this links to Paul Mitchell at Newcastle did not offer Isak a new deal last year and apparently really angered him in doing that. And he was promised one, according to some reports that have come out today. And there was some staff changes at Newcastle and he ended up not getting the contract that he was promised due to him having a long time left and them saying, basically, we can't afford it right now. So there's that. And then David Ornstein, we know Ornstein doesn't like to talk a lot. He just talks when there's real fact. And he said Newcastle, he obviously reported the Isak news this morning, and he's also since said that Newcastle are exploring the move for Sesko in the event Isak leaves. So I think this is all really interesting. We can see Newcastle are already on the hunt for a replacement, and I think that's pretty telling, if you ask me. I don't see why you'd hunt for a replacement for a player that you're not going to let leave. Let that one sink in. It just doesn't make sense. Sesko is a young striker. He's okay, I think. I think he's quite good. But He's just not anywhere near the level, and there's a reason why he hasn't moved from Leipzig yet. There's not that many strikers left on the market after Gyökeres has gone, Ekatiké's gone. They also still want Visser, apparently, but nothing major happening with that at the minute. I'm sure that will be hard now that United have signed Mbeumo. Brentford will want a lot of money for Visser as well. But you wouldn't hunt for a replacement for a player you're not going to sell. I just don't think that you would. I don't also think you'd keep a player this disgruntled. And this is unusual for Newcastle to wrap their heads around, because we've seen this type of thing before where we've had players who are big players for Liverpool. I think Coutinho is the example that I used on my live stream, and I'll use it again here. He was our best player at the time when he left for Barcelona. None of us wanted him to leave. In the summer, we offered him the captaincy. We offered him new deals. And he said all summer that he'd hurt his back and he wasn't training. If you remember, he was feigning this back injury. Anyway, he didn't get the move in summer. We ended up playing him a little bit through the season. He was absolutely unbelievable. And then we sold him in January for, I think it was like 140 million in the end to Barcelona, of which we're probably just about scraping the bottom of the barrel of that now after this summer. So, yeah, this is similar for Newcastle. It's their best player. They said he's not for sale. They said he was injured, and now he wants to leave. It's pretty clear. It's the same kind of thing, and they don't know how to react. The fume from the Newcastle fan base was huge, and we were laughing about it on the live stream earlier about, you know, we were excited, and now I'm just taking a more measured approach. I feel bad for them, honestly, in a way. I really do. But at the same time, do I really feel bad? Not really, because I want Liverpool to destroy them and destroy the rest of the league, not just Newcastle. And guess who we play second game of the season? If you guessed Newcastle, then you'd be correct. Away at St James's, second game of the season. So that's just something fun, a little quirk in all of this. So that's the situation. Craig Hope also said that Liverpool a bid is coming, and Newcastle are probably braced for such a bid as well. So what will the price be, do we think? It was reported when we made the first approach, it was around 120 million. That was the number flying around. There was also 130 million that I saw, and also 150 million that I saw, and I think that will be the max. But honestly, I feel like Newcastle have lost a bit of strength in their position here. If the player now wants to leave and is kicking up a fuss, they lose a bit of power. You know, the player gains a bit of the power. They don't have to sell, sure, but do you want to keep a player that openly wants to leave, even with Isak's quality? I don't know. And I wonder if they could get away with charging 150 million now, and whether it'll settle at 120, which is still astronomical, by the way. I'm not beating around the bush here trying to say we're going to get him on a cheap deal. We're not going to get him on a cheap deal. It's going to be a record fee. It's going to break our record that we just made, signing Florian Wirtz. And it's exciting as a Liverpool fan. And if you're not excited about this, then there must be no joy in your life, because Liverpool have gone crazy and it's the best. It's the best. It's just the best. So I've seen then a lot of people talking about how he's going to fit in and what the reasoning is for all of this. I said this on the live. First of all, guys, if you're really worried about that, if your first thought when hearing that we might sign Isak is, oh my God, what's Ekatike going to do? How are we going to play? How are we going to have all these players? I'll just ask you straight up, just relax, okay? That is not something that you need to worry about as a fan. Enjoy it. You know, don't question everything all the time. Just enjoy the fun and the journey the transfer window takes you on. But if you do really want to think about it, how they'll play, the first thing I'll say is we've got 60 games probably this year coming up. If you add, we've got the 38 Prem games. If you want to go far in the Champions League, you've got 8 games in the group stage. You've got the knockout rounds. You know, you're looking at maybe at least 8 games in the group, and then hopefully around, let's say 6 to 8, hopefully in the later stages. So, you know, you're looking at about 16 games there on top of the 38. You're already there. What are we on the 54? And you got the cups. You know, if you go far in them, the FA Cup, we've got the Community Shield as well. You know, you're looking at 60 games, and I promise you this: if we sign Alexander Isak, he's not going to play 60 games for Liverpool this summer. He just isn't. It's not going to happen. he might play 45, and Ekitike might also play something like 45. But he'll start a lot of games that Isak doesn't start. He might start with Isak. When we signed Ekitike, there was an interesting article that came out that one of the things we liked about Ekitike was that we saw that he was versatile enough to play on the wing and as a second striker. So I wonder if some games we might see Ekitike on the left wing, perhaps rotating with Gakpo a little bit. We talked about selling Luis Diaz. Perhaps our rotational piece for replacing Diaz is going to be to have Isak and then Gakpo on the left with Ekitike sort of a backup for both of those. Then you've got Salah on the right. That'd be 4 forwards that we'll definitely have. If we keep Chiesa, we've got him. He can play across all 3 positions on the front 3. I think Nunez is going to go. And honestly, who knows? Maybe we'll sign someone else, like a cheaper forward who's versatile too. We've also got Ben Doak still. We've got Rio and Gamoa, who looks electric. You've got Szoboszlai can play there. Frimpong can play in the front 3 if we need to on the right-hand side. There's lots of different options that we've got. So I think the depth would be fine. And the reason why you want depth is to rotate your players, but also if we have such elite players, if we have the best player in the world, Salah, on the right hand side, you have top 2 striker in the league in Isak, maybe the best, definitely the best last year with Haaland, probably a second place last year. Easy striker, you got Gakpo, one of the best wingers in the world, especially in the Premier League on the left side, with Ekitike, one of the most promising attackers in the world, backing them up. How many games are they not going to play if not injured? And that's something, Slot will have already worked that out. This will already be factored into the transfer. It won't just be haphazard at Liverpool. That's not how we work. We don't work with a scattergun approach, signing every single Tom, Dick and Harry like Chelsea. If you're under the age of 23, we're going to sign you. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio's in charge of Chelsea, honestly, I'm telling you guys. And that's an important thing to note as well. With Isak, there are currently a lot of obviously journalists saying that Chelsea are not interested. They are not going to enter the race for him, which is great. And also, so they shouldn't. They've just signed João Pedro and Delap. They also have Jackson, and that's 3 strikers there. They want to sell Jackson apparently, but still, they can't sign Isak as well. That would be silly even for Chelsea. Al Hilal apparently not in any contact with Newcastle, according to Romano, who does seem to have good Saudi connections. So that kind of rules them out. And I don't think Isak would want to go to Saudi at this stage in his career either. And then City, Haaland's on a 25 million year contract, so no. Arsenal are going to sign Gyökeres, so again, no. Probably they couldn't. I can't see them paying the money for him. A lot of Premier League clubs can't afford to do this, and we'll get into how Liverpool can in a second. Then you're looking at PSG. They've already got Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, and Barcola, as well as Goncalo Ramos there as well. And if they signed Isak, it puts Barcola as your 5th choice attacker, and he's too good to be 5th choice attacker. You're also then benching probably one of Doué, Kvara, or Dembele, and just not doing that. They're all top class. I don't see that. Real Madrid, I mean, if they go for Isak, they'd have to sell Vinicius Jr., and I can't see that materialising, honestly, this summer. And then Barcelona can't afford him. So it leaves us in the pole position, and I think this is one of the situations where this is not a situation of Isak's going to leave Newcastle and who's he going to go to. This is a situation of if Isak leaves Newcastle, he will come to Liverpool. I think that's how the flow of this will go. He either stays at Newcastle or he ends up with us, and I think that's pretty clear. And I'm buzzing about it. Absolutely buzzing about it. So, yes, Isak will be the main number 9, the main striker if he comes to Liverpool. I think if he's here, if we had all our players fit and ready to go for the first game of the season, he would start at number 9, regardless of Ekitike. But don't think that just if we sign him, Ekitike is never going to play. We spent big money on Ekitike. He's going to play a lot. Don't worry about that. Okay. Breathe. I think it's important to touch a little bit on Diaz. It looks like Bayern are going to bid. I think they're sending the bid on the fucking, what is it, the Suez Canal? Is that how you say it? The big bloody thing where the boat got stuck a couple of years ago. Maybe in a message in a bottle. maybe they're delivering it via slug. I don't know. They're taking a long time to deliver this bid. It's been coming and coming and coming, but it does look like they are about to bid 75 million euros, which will be 65 million pound. And I think Liverpool will take that. We know Diaz wants to leave as well, and it's good money for a 28-year-old. He's a good player, but I think you take it. And if it means that you get Isak, or it helps to get him, then you do it without a shadow of a doubt. So I'll be sad to see Diaz go, but if that's the case, then I think it's necessary. Not even mentioned Harvey Elliott. I mean, he's still here. Is he going to leave? It's gone pretty quiet. Apparently, West Ham are interested, but nothing concrete yet. So we'll see on that. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts still for Liverpool, and I think by this weekend, I'm going to put it out there right now. I think by Sunday we'll know. What am I going to say here? I think by Sunday we'll know if Isak is going to sign for Liverpool or not this summer. I think we'll know by Sunday, because I think the Diaz bid will have arrived, and I think that will mean we'll have sent a bid, and it probably will be before Sunday that we send a bid to Newcastle at the rate things are moving. So I think that's a decent segue into how we can afford all of this. PSR has become a big topic in football in the Premier League over the last couple of years, mainly since really City and Everton got their sort of charges against them. Of course, Everton actually got docked points for breaching the rules. And a lot of people are saying, how can Liverpool do this? Why can't Newcastle buy loads of players with all their money? It doesn't make sense. I must say, I'm not an expert on PSR. It's quite complicated. It is difficult to understand, but I did some reading tonight, and I found a good thread explaining Liverpool's financial situation. So I'm going to read you some of the numbers that I pulled out from that, and hopefully will make a bit of sense to you as we go. So the estimated revenue for Liverpool this year, so this is money we'll make on not just sales, but also like ticketing, merchandise, all that stuff, sponsors, all that kind of thing. Full revenue this year estimated, and this is all based off Liverpool's accounts and the projected accounts for next year that this very clever person online has done. I think he's called Mo Chatra. So credit to you, Mo, if you're by some miracle watching this. He estimates the revenue at 750 million Liverpool will make, with an estimated wage bill of 430 million, and an estimated other operating expenses of 160 million. So not just wages that you spend money on as a club, there's other bits and bats. That will leave a net cash position for Liverpool of 160 million. So after those expenses taken off our revenue, you're looking at 160 million. Now, that easily covers this summer's values of players that we've signed. And I know straight away what you're thinking. How? Because we've signed Wirtz for 100 million. Isak will be 100 million plus. Ekitike was 70 million. How can it work? And the reason why is because, and you might have heard of this, but clubs nowadays, what will happen is they sign a player and they will amortise their transfer fee over the length of time of their contract. We saw Chelsea kind of bring this into fashion, giving players 8-year deals so then they can take the transfer fee that they pay and basically pay it over a number of years. This isn't a new thing in football. Teams have done this for a long time, I'm sure, but it's become very, very relevant and popular since the new Premier League sustainability rules have come in. Let me give you an example to try and make that make sense to you. So when we signed Kirkes this summer, let's say his base fee that we paid for him was 35 million. So he goes in our books, okay, as 35 million pounds of an asset, okay? However, it only hits Liverpool's accounts for 7 million this year because we've given him a 5-year deal. So if you like, the only amount that we actually pay for Kirkes in our accounts this year is 7 million. And then it'll be 7 million next year. And then it'll be 7 million next year. And so on and so forth till his value is down to nothing because we've paid off his whole transfer fee. Now, obviously, we have players that we've paid for in past windows, such as Szoboszlai, Chiesa, Endo, that are all also being amortised. So we didn't pay Szoboszlai's fee up front, I imagine, and some of that will be being paid this summer. So it's not just this summer's transfer fees that are really going to impact our accounts for this summer's outgoings of funds paid to signings, but it will be a chunk of this year, and that's why we gave Ekitike a 6-year contract. His fee is getting paid over 6 years. Hope that makes sense. So Kirkes, again, if we sign him for 35 million, we pay 7 million this year, meaning next year his base value is 28 million, meaning that if we then sold him for 35 million, what we paid for him, we actually record a profit on that asset, Kirkes, of 7 million. We make profit on that transfer, even though we sold him for the same amount we bought him for. That's how it works. So this summer, so far, we've spent 296 million. This is all including add-ons because we're rich as fuck. So why not just let us include the add-ons? Okay. 296 million. That's on Wirtz, Ekitike, Kirkes, Frimpong, Mamardashvili, who I believe counts to this year's transfers, and Armin Pesci, who's the young Hungarian goalkeeper. I think I'm saying his name right. We signed for like 1.5 million. We've made 66 million from sales, and that's on Kwanzaa, Kelleher, the 10 million we got from Real Madrid for Trent. Cheers, Real Madrid, once again, and Nat Phillips. Okay, so net spend so far is £236 million in total. Okay. However, like I said, what we've spent, the 296 million, is not hitting all of Liverpool's accounts this year, and I hope that point makes sense. Only a small chunk of that will be hitting, as well as some of the older transfers that will also be hitting. However, the sales that we've made, they were only recorded one time, and they're recorded immediately. So Kelleher's transfer to Brentford, for example, he was an academy player, so we never paid a transfer fee for him. So when we sold Kelleher, the amount that we paid for him was 0, and the amount we got for him was, what was it, about 18 million or something like that from Brentford. So we record £18 million worth of pure profit in the books. And if you look at Kirkes costing us 7 million, Frimpong was 30 million, probably on a 5-year deal. So you're looking at 6 million there. That's 13 million we're paying for those two. And already you can see how we're covering that with just the one sale of Kelleher and a bit of extra. So you see how this actually balances out. That's not to mention the fact that we've got lots more players still to sell. We've got Luis Diaz to sell. We've got Darwin Nunez to sell. Harvey Elliott could leave. Ben Doak could leave. Who else have we got? There's so many. Chiesa could leave. Is there more? Simicas maybe could leave. You get the point, guys. There's a lot of sales that we could still make. And sure, there's still business that we can do to bring players in too. But this is the situation. Now, if you project the costs that we might spend on transfers by the end of this window, if we sign Isak as well for, let's say, 120 million. The person producing all these figures, so again, thank you to Mo. The transfers may come to a projection of around 500 million, around 485 million. Let's say we sign centre-back as well. That's what we might end up with. So if you add on top of that agent fees, which also count towards this money that we spend on transfers, agent fees are very expensive, and Liverpool have extremely high agent fees. We might not have the highest wages compared to some clubs, City, Real Madrid, but we pay a lot for agents, okay? That totals a projection of 60 million. So let's say that totals around £550 million, okay? Just from this summer's incomings of players. If you amortise that over 5 years, it's only going to hit this year's accounts for £110 million. And I know I'm chucking a lot of money and numbers at you right now. And if you're not interested in this type of thing, fair enough. But this is how Liverpool can do it. And if you're interested, then I hope I'm doing a good job of explaining. £110 million in this year's accounts, whereas the sales are recognised immediately. So if we sold Nunez, if we sold Diaz for 70, 60 million each, we've made profit this year. Obviously, there's all other signings that will come into our fees. Like I said, Szoboszlai, Endo, Chiesa, all these players that we bought years back, McAllister, Gravenberch. But last year we spent basically no money. So we didn't have any real impact to our PSR last year, except from the profit we made. We won the league, by the way, so you make a lot of money from that. The Champions League, the revenue is insane nowadays due to the new format. We made a lot of money in that. We came top of the league phase, if you remember. Okay, we went out against PSG, but we came top of the league phase. So this is where we are. Last season, we actually made £41 million on player trading, a profit. So we were in a comfy position on PSR this summer, and I've seen journalists say that Liverpool could easily spend another £200 million this summer without selling anybody and still be compliant with the rules. We are obviously going to sell players, so we're going to be nowhere near reaching the edges of PSR, and it's just beautiful, guys, honestly. And this is what you get when you have real intelligent people running your club and not the absolute fuckwits over at Man United. And isn't it brilliant? I mean, isn't it just brilliant? So it's clear Michael Edwards has spent some time away, realised maybe some mistakes Liverpool have made in the past, maybe being a little bit too passive in the transfer market. And he said, you know what, this year we're fixing all our problems all at once whilst we're in a healthy PSR position, because this will catch up on us. In years to come, we'll still have lots of player fees to pay. And so as a result, we will have lots of, transfer fees that we're paying for players we already own, meaning we might not be able to sign as many players like we are doing this summer. But we won't need to if we've signed a team set up for the future this year. For example, Luis Diaz, if we signed him for whatever we signed him for years ago, same with Nunez, we spent a lot of money on them, but they're well into their contracts now for Liverpool. So their book value, basically what we have left to pay for them, is low now. So if we sell them for a high amount, we make lots of profit on that sale, which can be recorded in our player trading. So basically, Liverpool are sound. We're absolutely sound. It's rosy at Liverpool. And we're going to sign Isak. I'm telling you right now, we're going to sign this guy. I think. Fingers crossed. Let's hope and pray. Every day I'll be on this news. So, yes, I wanted to give an update on that. That is Isak, and that is numbers. And if you're still with me after all that, thank you very much. That's all I can say. If you're still here now and you haven't subscribed, just click subscribe. Seriously, guys. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much for watching. But we're not done. We're not done there. We are going to quickly preview the Milan game on Saturday. Very quick, very brief, because tomorrow there will be no video. I am out, so the next time that I'm able to make a video will be after the game. It's at 12:30 UK time. It is in Hong Kong. They just played Arsenal. They lost 1-0. I must say I didn't watch. I was at work, but yeah, this is the friendly, so I'm using this opportunity to just do a little preview. Look, we're not going to dive in deep to Milan because it's a friendly. We'll do that more when the Prem comes and we're actually looking at opponents that we can analyse more. I'm certainly not going to analyse opponents for friendlies, but it'll be interesting to see Liverpool's team. Will Ekitike play is a big question. My initial thoughts are no, and if he does, it'll be very limited minutes, maybe 20 minutes, because if you think about his last few days, he flew from Germany to London, then had a 14 hour flight from London to Hong Kong, so there's big jet lag involved. He arrived today. If you haven't seen the clip of him arriving during the live training session to meet the players, check it out. It was really cool. Walks on the pitch and meets everybody. It was really, really cool. So I imagine, well, he obviously didn't train today. He probably caught up on some sleep today, meaning if we have a training session tomorrow, I don't know if we do, but he might take part, probably will. But that'll be his first training session for us, and whether that means he goes straight in on Saturday, I don't know. I hope he does. It'll be really fun to see him. Will Diaz play? That's interesting too. Will we keep Diaz playing or not? He was training, so there is that. But will we want to keep him, especially if Bayern bid tomorrow? Will he drop out of the squad and maybe go over to Germany, or at least protect him on the sidelines to make sure he doesn't get injured? That'll be interesting. Will we see any youngsters? So If you didn't watch the live training today, I did. And Leone joined in the session, but only later on. Rio was not in the session, at least the live one. I'm wondering if they're protecting those two a little bit. Just saying, look, you guys are very young. Just take a little break in this heat. You know, you trained a lot. It's been intense. Rio has been training over there, so he just didn't take part in the live session today. And Doak only took part in a little bit of the session. It's interesting. I feel like we're managing the youngsters maybe a little bit more than some of the more first team players. So will we see Rio? Will we see Leone? Will we see Doak? Will we see Lucas Stevenson, who's over there as well? You know, will they get minutes? And it's always fun to watch those guys. But tomorrow, the most exciting player to watch by no shadow of a doubt is Florian Wirtz. It'll be the first time we've been able to actually watch a full game with him. We saw clips against Stoke in the behind closed doors friendly. Obviously wasn't there against Preston, but he'll be there on Saturday, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch him. I imagine only plays a half, maybe 60 minutes max, but it will be a beautiful 45 minutes. And you best believe when he makes 5-yard passes, I'm going to be salivating at the mouth. I'm going to be quivering in my boots, just watching everything he does. I might get like his haircut. You know, he's got like the sort of, I don't even know how to describe. He's got like a very short buzz cut, but it's like sort of an M shape in the front. I might go and request that from the barbers to watch along with him, or maybe I'll just go full John Henry trim after all of this. Maybe I'll go Richard Hughes. Who knows? But Wirtz is going to play, and it's going to be really exciting to watch him. So look out for that. That's going to be great. Will he mix the teams again? So a lot of the time he's been playing kind of what you'd assume is our first team, half of them in one half and then kind of half in the Nova. We've seen Gakpo in the second halves of games. You know, we've not seen Alisson yet, really. We've seen the goalkeepers swap at half time. We've seen the fullbacks. Kirkers and Frimpong obviously came on in the second half, whereas Bradley and it was actually Robbo started last game against Preston. Will Szoboszlai play right back again? What will we do with the right back? Will it be a similar shape to the one we saw and we analysed against Stoke in the 3-2-5 when we've got the ball? Will the right back go and join number 10 if it's Conor Bradley or Frimpong or Szoboszlai or whoever the fucking hell else could end up playing right back for us? Who knows? Yeah. He's been using Endo and Simicast as centre backs. Will that continue? I think it probably will because we haven't got that many of them. So it'll be interesting. Will he mix teams or will he go with like what we'd maybe assume might be a closer team to what might start against Bournemouth or against Crystal Palace in the Community Shield? So look out for that. Look out for the shape. Will there be a penalty shootout at the end? And the reason I ask this is because there randomly was in their friendly against Arsenal. So Milan actually lost the game and then won the penalty shootout, and Arsenal, I think, went out of the little cup they're doing over there. So make sense of that one. But will there be a penalty shootout? And that'll be fun. It's always fun to watch pens. Who will take them? I'm interested to see who might take free kicks. Will Wirtz take free kicks now that Trent's gone? I hope it's not Salah. He's awful at free kicks and he should never take them ever, even though he's a phenomenal footballer. So I can't wait to watch us play. It feels like about a year since we played against Preston. I'm starving for football action, and I'll be starving tomorrow for Isak news. Will we get more news tomorrow? I hope so. If we do, there'll be no video because I am out. So apologies for that if we do sign him or bid or something tomorrow, but we'll cover it when we get to cover it. And look, you can just get excited and wait and consume other people's content. There's lots of good content out there. So go and research Isak. If you haven't watched him, it's a dream to watch him. He's a phenomenal player. So with all of that being said, everybody, thank you for joining me today. Bit of a quick one. It is late here now. It is around 10:30 at night. This will hopefully go up on Thursday. But yeah, if you're in the UK and you're watching on Friday, and there's been more updates, apologies, I've missed them. In fact, should we have a little refresh now? Just one final refresh to see if anything has happened. This could be fun. Let's have a look. Okay. Okay. We have got a few updates actually. One for Darwin Nunez, Ben Jacobs. Darwin Nunez remains an option for Al Hilal. Internal talks taking place over whether to approach Liverpool with key input from Inzaghi first. Hilal will certainly sign the new striker. Liverpool valuation informed by a €70 million offer turned down in January from Al Nassr. That's interesting. Does that mean we're wanting more than €70 million for Nunez from Al Hilal? Possibly, but it's interesting that a bit of news is coming out about that now, finally. And literally breaking right now, this is 8 seconds ago, from Lewis Steele, Liverpool are readying an official approach to Newcastle after Alexander Isak told the club he wants to explore a move away this summer. Liverpool readying a British record offer. Wow. We're here live, perfect timing. Lewis Steele saying we're going to bid. It's not a shock, but it's another reputable journalist saying we're ready in the approach. So yeah, I think the news is only going to grow from here, guys. Stay tuned tomorrow for more of it. Yes, thank you very much for watching. If you did join today and watch, go watch the live if you want to see the live reaction to the initial news coming out. Oh, Kobe's making some noise in the background. He's having a dream. He's excited about Isak as well. But yes, if you did enjoy today's video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for listening on the podcast if you did listen. And hope you enjoy the friendly on the weekend. I'll speak to you after. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll speak to you all very soon. Goodbye.